Welcome on into the Ostrom Avenue podcast. JohnnyGadamowitz, EthanFrank, and today we have the pleasure of being joined by an extremely special guest, the head coach of UVA men's lacrosse, Lars Tiffany. Coach Tiffany, how's it going? Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Well, it's good to be back with you guys, Johnny and Ethan. You guys do a really, really great product up there.
We appreciate it. Let's hop right in. I know we're looking forward to the matchup this weekend. It should be a lot of fun. As we stand here 2 days out, Coach, just kind of off the top, anything injury or maybe health wise as far as guys that we maybe should not expect to see on Saturday, or you guys are pretty much full of go at this point?
Gary Gates sent this question. Are you trying to get the full scouting report here? Matt Moore doesn't play against Towson. Jeff Connor doesn't play against Towson. And now they want to know, huh?
You don't have to reveal anything.
That's okay. That's okay.
Throw it out there.
I know I'm not really supposed to talk too much about injuries, but it's we're sort of week to week with a couple guys, Matt Moore and Jeff Connor, and hopefully we can get them back here. But we're all banged up. We know Syracuse had a significant injury to one of their offensive players, but boy, it didn't look like it slowed them down against Holy Cross and scoring 10 goals against a really tough Maryland team there. So, I think there'll be a lot of healthy bodies. And I talked to the guys about this yesterday. As a coach, you don't want any one game to be bigger than another game. You want them to be just as fired up for conference versus non-conference. But it's a real world, right? And we're talking about real emotions and testosterone. And it's Syracuse for Virginia, and so we know that this is big boy ball game, and so we've had a lot of great experiences in this game, this rivalry, and we see Syracuse's best every year.
Thank you so much again, Coach. So, moving out to the big picture a little bit, I want to ask you about your coaching philosophy. What do you think is the biggest thing that you prioritize in coaching that's helped you build such a successful program down in Charlottesville?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. The biggest thing that we've tried to build is aside from the development of the whole man, thinking about what they're going to do post-college, internships, jobs, really showing that we care about them. It's the collaboration that when we are creating our defenses and offensive game plans, we really like to have these our meeting space, we call it a bit of the think tank. And I want the interaction between the offensive players and Coach Kerwin and the defensive players and myself and Coach Turner. And so I want them to have a say. Essentially, what we're trying to do is create really intelligent, smart lacrosse players, lacrosse high IQ guys. And that's where you get a really good lacrosse team is guys who understand the game. Syracuse played against Maryland last week. Logan Wisnauskas. I mean, just so talented, but intelligent, understanding that, hey, we can move this one more. And you see players, Rafus last year was fantastic with that, for Syracuse University. Some of those guys who really have it. We're fortunate to have Connor Schellenberger. And the way he lets the game come to him and not push it. We're trying to build a team of that. And I think that's been something that we put a lot of focus on, to answer your question, and why we've had, developed a really strong unity and a strong understanding of who we are, is really getting their voice. And so their voice matters. And so you can't just shake your head. Everyone understand and go, No. That's not how we ask those questions, and in getting their voice and interacting and getting them involved with the game plan we come up with.
Interestingly enough, Coach, the last time you guys took down a Syracuse team, it was back in March of 2019. 2 national titles since then. What sort of allowed the guys in the Salt City to maybe have your number, if you want to call it that, as far as the past couple matchups are concerned?
I wish I really knew the answer to that, but I just know that it's such a rivalry game. It's so intense. We have the same colors. The history is so close of wins and losses and goals for and goals against. And I think there's just been a similar style of play too, and you don't expect a bunch of guys out there faking a push. This is big boy going after each other, big hits, playing as fast a game as possible, getting the ball up and down the field. It started when, Coach Simmons and Coach Starja, and then Coach Desko and Coach Starja started this relationship in the 90s, usually playing late February, early March, getting a season going with a really juicy one. And the men understand that. And And so last year, going 0 for 2 against Syracuse, disappointing, but not surprising, because it's the matchup. It's the rivalry game. Give credit, Syracuse, the first time we lost, they blew our doors out, in the Carrier Dome. And they awoken us to some things that we didn't realize we needed attention to. And that's the whole season, right? The race to improve, go from one game to the next and try to keep getting better. Holy cow, did they expose some things we weren't doing well. But yeah, no, it's they're so talented, the Syracuse Orangemen, and now with Coach Petramala organizing a defense, and Coach Gate along with Coach March getting a flowing offense. It's this is why you come to Virginia. It's why you go to Syracuse, play this game.
So you mentioned a couple of the coaches. What do you think the difference is between preparing for a team led by Coach Desko versus now being led by Coach Gate?
We're still trying to figure that out, and we're going to get a second chance, aren't we? Because we played twice. So, we've only seen them against Holy Cross and Maryland, and we can see some subtle differences, but it's not as different. I should say Syracuse's offense. There's some subtle differences, but not too different because Coach March is back. Defensively, there's a different organization, and they're really working much better together as a unit. Really good individuals, had those last year, and now we can see a cohesiveness already that Coach Petramala has done with the defense. So, but I'll have a better answer to you if we talk in mid to late April, having played them once, what the difference is. I will tell you one thing that we're already noticing is there seems to be more physicality, that this is a team that's playing aggressive. And we've prepared our men, saying, hey fellas, I don't see a lot of guys from Syracuse, taking dives, or looking for a little push call. They're going to get after this thing. And so buckle up.
Coach, want to hit on Bobby Gavin. Obviously he'll probably get the call for the Custon net this weekend. What were sort of your impressions of Bobby during his time at UVA, and what do you think has sort of allowed him to step into that, ACC starter type role this year, other than the fact that there was a spot up for grabs for Syracuse?
Sure. Well, Bobby brings a joy to the field, and most of us love the game and play, but he brought a smile too. So you could tell he was having fun in practice, even though people are shooting a ball 95 miles an hour at his head. Right. And it's really fun to be around Bobby. He enjoys the game, and he brings a good spirit to it. He would, he'd let random people take shots on him, in pregame. Most goalies like, no, let's be a little bit more organized here. I don't want just a bunch of random shots thrown at my head. But he just really, really embraces the, every day. And he started 2 games for us last year. Our starting goalie was Alex Rode, but he had a COVID situation, so he missed a couple games. But it wasn't, oh my God, we don't have Alex Rode. It was like, oh, we got Bobby Gavin. He's a really good goalie, very good and clear, very poised. And I think we want every goalie in any sport to have that next play mentality. It's probably the most important position to have the next play. Forget about the one you just gave up. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone as good as Bobby at that. He just, when he had those 2 starts against Army and Loyola, the first couple shots went in. He comes over to the sideline after the first quarter's over. He doesn't seem phased at all. Still got that smile. He's excited. He's playing lacrosse, and he's a really, really good mindset for being a great goalie.
Any sort of, I don't know if concern is the right word, but any worry that maybe it's a slight advantage Syracuse in that department, and that, he knows how you guys like to operate on offense as an opposing netminder?
It's interesting, right? Who's got the advantage here? Do our shooters know him, or does he know our shooters? Because he'll be watching film going, oh yeah, that's how he shoots. Yep. I know where he's looking. I know he might be looking there, but he's going to put the ball down there. Or anytime he drops his hands, he's shooting that stick shot high. Yeah, it's interesting, that, and that's an age old question, and you got the experienced attackman versus a defenseman who knows him. Who gets the advantage there? So it'll, and plus he's coming off playing well. Maryland doesn't give you a lot of easy saves. Some teams won't shoot from outside, way out in the rafters. You got to earn every save, and Maryland's one of them. So to be double-digit saves against Maryland, he had a really good day there.
So moving from the goal out to the center of the field, you talked about last season a little bit earlier, but at the Faceoff X, Jacob Fopp had a lot of success for Syracuse against PD LaSalle for you guys. How important is winning there to winning the game on Saturday?
It's going to be critical. It's most games that have a face-off, possession is fluid. It's not insured, right? Ice hockey, soccer, it's tough to really possess the ball or the puck. And yet in lacrosse, you can possess it, but we have the face-off. So that possession is so key. And Falp did a fantastic job, really well. He did a solid job in the first game, and in the second game, boy, he just dominated us. And so that is certainly going to be a big challenge for PD. Gable Braun is also taking more faceoffs for us this year. We're trying to rotate there, almost using PD, sort of like a pitch count. We don't want to overdo them. We overused PD last year, and then our wing play. And that's where Syracuse's wings have been very good as well. That when Falp didn't win it to clean himself, their wings came in, and that second game, especially where we lost, probably 85% of the faceoffs. So that will be key. And so it'll be interesting to see PD LaSalle's mindset, because PD's, that's the only time in my time with PD and that we've been together that he's been dominated. And, he's got to face his kryptonite on Saturday.
Following up on that, it almost seems like Fop was really the one guy who did have LaSalle's number a little bit last year out of everyone that PD went up against. I'm curious, is there anything that, PD maybe has done differently than normal to prepare for this matchup against Fop this weekend, considering how last year's showdowns went, or is it just business as usual?
It's definitely studying more film. We've got 2 games of film to watch from Falp from last year, but then we got to watch more this year because now he has a new faceoff coach, maybe the best faceoff man ever. And he brings his own, tactics and techniques to the game and going to help Falp even more. And it looks like he has helped Falp because I think he's done a really nice job to start this year, winning 2/3 of his faceoffs. So it's, there's a part of me that wants it just to be normal, but I know it's not normal for PD, and he's had a lot of time to think about this. So definitely some extra film viewing. And then I think we also have to be ready to counter. Look, most face-off men are some of the most stubborn people on this planet, okay? And they think their move's going to work. Even if they lose 5 in a row, they think it's going to work the 6th time. I think what we also have to recognize is, okay, it's not working. Falp showed us last year that he can be really good against us. So we just got to be ready to counter. With face-offs now that you can't do the motorcycle grip. Now it's the neutral grip. You get more of the rock, paper, scissors. Oh, you rock, a paper, counter, so that the face-off game. So we just got to be better prepared, and PD's going to be better prepared for the counters if his first move's not working.
Moving to the defensive side of the field for you guys, I've noticed you got a lot of tall defenders there on the back line. Is there something you see that, taller guys provide an advantage that you think brings a different aspect to your defense?
Yeah, making up some personal shortcomings, I guess, maybe. And that's changed over I've been in coaching for over 25 years, and each year I keep looking further and further up, in those huddles and when we surround the defense. And it wasn't something that was a part of my recruiting plan 10 years ago, but here we are. And I do see there's a tremendous advantage of having that range, that reach. You see it in basketball, talk about Syracuse basketball, the 2-3 zones, the guy in the middle there, he might be 6'11", but he's got a 7'4" wingspan. That wingspan, the ability to stretch out, we've seen how advantageous it can be. We had Cade Soustad, tall guy, 6'5", and then Cole Castor, number 39, was a bit of a project, and we called him Project 39 last year. And boy, has it been successful. And his athleticism, along with his extension and his lacrosse basketball IQ, he was a really good basketball player in high school, was recruited to play college basketball. And now we're looking at George Fulton, who's 6'6". It is a part of our formula now moving forward. And I'm sure other coaches are noticing, so they're going to start grabbing, but I wish they wouldn't. I think there's a significant advantage of getting into the airways, knocking down passes, reach with getting on people's gloves and lifting, and accessing ground balls.
All right, Coach, last one we got for you here. I know we're running short on time. Biggest single X factor that you're keying in on that you think could really be the telltale factor as to who walks away with the victory this weekend?
Oh, you want one X factor? I mean, boy, there's so many little stories within the big story. Obviously LaSalle and Fop at the Faceoff X. I like the one you talked about earlier, Bobby Gavin versus the shooters, who gets the advantage there. I think, Dave Petramalo's defense versus our Sean Kerwin's offense. Those are two elite coordinators going head to head. That's really exciting. And then the other end of the field, 16 and 23 get all the attention, and they deserve a ton of attention, and we will give them a ton of attention. But we then have to take care of their others, because we know Siebold and Quinn and the rest of the crew can put the ball away. So I'm not going to answer your question. I'm not giving you one. I'm just going to go with all those little mini stories.
Hey, works for us just as well. That was awesome. Thank you so much to Coach Lars Tiffany for hopping on the podcast here. That's going to do it for our episode here of the Ostrom Avenue podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a like. You can find us wherever you get the podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, you name it. But for Ethan, I'm Johnny. Again, Coach Tiffany can't thank you enough, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the energy.